Live from Fox 12 Oregon, this is breaking news.
Welcome to the 10 o'clock hour of Good Day Oregon. We do have breaking news this morning. The man accused of shooting two Portland police officers made his first court appearance this morning.
And for the first time since that shooting took place, we are now learning the names of the officers who were hurt, and we're getting more details about the shooting that led to a week-long manhunt. Fox 12's Joe Vithiafield joins us now from the newsroom. Joe, we understand there were some disruptions during today's arraignment hearing?
Yeah, Shauna. So Eric Olkers appeared in Multnomah County Court to be arraigned on a number of charges, including 2 counts of attempted murder. But those proceedings were interrupted when Olkers made a series of outbursts. Take a listen.
You're an active rebellion against the United States of America. You're using illegal neurotransmitters against white Christians and borders, right? Against civil rights and the U.S. Constitution.
So here's what we've learned about the shooting that Olkers is being charged with. Portland police say last Monday they responded to a call of someone being threatened by a man with a knife. Officers Randy Stowe and Sebastian Dragomir arrived, and the person who called 911 directed them to the suspect, Eric Olkers. Prosecutors cite police body camera footage that they say shows Olkers denying that he pulled the knife. But when he was told by officers that he could not leave, they say Olkers raised a handgun, fired at the officers, and then ran away. Stowe was shot in the thigh and groin, and his femur shattered. Dragomir was hit in the arm and neck, and one shot took off part of his ear. Both officers have since been released from the hospital. Police spent the next week searching for Olkers. They received a number of tips from the public. They also tested DNA evidence found on some clothes that were found near the site of the shooting. Fox 12 was on the scene in Northeast Portland yesterday when Olkers was arrested, and police say a search warrant led to the discovery of a 9mm gun consistent with bullet casings that were found on the scene of the shooting. Eric Olkers is facing, as we mentioned, multiple criminal charges. They include 2 counts each of attempted first-degree murder, assault with a firearm, and unlawful use of a firearm. He's being held without bail, and his next court date is set for next Wednesday. Of course, we're going to keep you updated on all the developments, both on air and on our Fox 12 News app.